Hi guys, Matthew here. Today I'm going to be doing a little time-lapse video for a commission I just did for the Ressurection Men Kickstarter. Ressurection Men is a really cool book about a guy who has the power to bring people back from the dead and this kind of creepy government-ish agency that wants to control it, which is never any good. So anyway, before I get into that, I'm going to show you a quick little thing about my process in creating the idea for this, and then we'll do the time-lapse video. Alright, cool. Okay, real quick, before I get into the time-lapse video, I'm just showing you some of my thumbnails. These are actually thumbnails from my book, Moonhunters, but these are thumbnails that I did. I always do my thumbnails in my little sketchbook. But I had come up with some ideas for this commission. And it was kind of like almost like a cover commission, except without the masthead. So what I wanted to do here is kind of tell a little story that kind of told a little bit about the, I guess, the book itself, but just something that they can give away to fans as little print. And of course, it's about a guy who can bring people back from the dead. So I kind of start with little kind of stories for each thing. And even though I kind of liked this one, I think this one was the one that really drew people's eye, and the client liked for at first, and I really kind of liked the symmetry of it too. But I did this thumbnail and I sent them all to the client. They chose this one, but as I had sent it to them, I was out going for a walk, and in my head I'm turning this around in my head, and I do that when I'm drawing or doing something. A lot of times things will just kind of turn around in 3 dimensions in my head. And as I was doing it, I started thinking, there's something about this one that I like, but it's just not right. It's just not right. And the client, like I said, they had chosen it. I said, well, let me do one more. And I went and I did this thumbnail here. It's the exact same characters in similar poses, but I just turned things in 3 dimensions, and I changed the angle. You're kind of looking up, you're looking in, and up here with the people in the little observation room, they're up at a higher angle, and we've kind of changed the angle of the window and everything. And it just all of a sudden it made the entire whole, I guess, image just work better. Now this is a real quick. This is a sketch of that first one. This is it kind of really fleshed out. I wanted to see what it would look like, and it looks good. It looks fine. It would be a decent print, but it's just so flat. Everybody's at the same plane and the same angle, except for this guy going this way, and even he looks flat. And I just was like, it's just so flat. So again, that's what kind of led me to do this version here. It's a lot looser. This is another fleshed out version, a lot looser. But as you can just see, it has more depth to it. So again, this is like a quick printout of the pencils that I did, and you'll see in the time lapse how I really brought this to life in inks. And I think I did a so much better job than I would have if I had gone with this version. And the client agreed. The client saw this version and they were like, oh God, we have to go with this one. So anyway, that's just a little bit about my process, and just how sometimes even an idea you think works just doesn't work, and you have to try to change things around and move things around your head. So let's get down to the time-lapse video and see what can happen. All right, sounds good.
Now here we are. I'm starting to pencil this page, and as you can see, I'm going in real quick, and I'm using a blue pencil to kind of just flesh out some of the things that are already done in the I guess the layout. And here it's like I'm just trying to do, make sure all the structure is correct, make sure the lines are kind of where I want, just to kind of give an idea of what I want to ink. I don't want there to be any places that are just not correct. And I even yes, I do use my ruler sometimes. I don't like using a ruler because I think it's better to ink with a I guess a more natural line, but I use a ruler in my pencils sometimes just to make sure I've got a good guide. And here, like I said, just going in and just making sure these lines are what I want. I don't always do this, especially for my book Moonhunters. A lot of times I'm really confident in what I want, but since this is a print and I want it to be just really, really extra smooth looking, I wanted to make sure all the lines are really nice. And again, using my ruler to kind of get things nice and straight, going in with the proper detail, making sure everything looks good. I will, in a minute when I get to inking, flesh out some of these lines quite a bit more and add quite more, I guess, texture. Here we go. I started inking. Here we go. I'm inking this page, and you can see me inking extremely fast. I don't really ink that fast in real life, but it's fun to see. I always start out with lines here. I did go ahead and ink some of the, I guess, straighter edge lines, the longer ones with a ruler, just to make sure I don't screw those up. This part, when you see the little lamp there, actually before you didn't even see it, but I went and light boxed in the correct shape of that lamp because I wasn't very confident on that, and going in and hand inking and not using the ruler for those little tiles. I wanted to make sure they look very natural and misshapen and a little a little organic almost. Same here. I'm now using a much bolder. I'm using a brush here, a much bolder line because that guy is in the foreground, and I wanted it to be very bold and to kind of look like it was in the foreground. And again, using brush for quite a bit of this part. Make sure I get proper textures and shadows, and just filling in shadows and textures right now. Now, I don't fill in a lot of the big areas of blacks yet, because if I do, it'll start making the board warp a little bit. So I'm kind of outlining things and then going and filling some smaller areas of black just to make sure everything looks good on the characters and figures, but those bigger areas of black, I'll leave those alone because I don't want to mess those up. But as you can kind of see from talking before, this page is really starting to come together, and it's got a lot more depth to it than it would have if I had gone with that more flatter version. And it's just so nice to see this page kind of come to life. And right here I'm using a brush pen to kind of finish this guy off. But I am using slightly bolder lines than I did up top to, again, kind of pronounce that depth. And kind of going through here and adding the shadows in this guy's arm and in his body. It just, I think this page really kind of came across well. I had textures where I wanted things to stand out, and I had plenty of black, which I always enjoy. Now I'm adding in the big areas of black, and it really, see how it's going to make that page kind of warp a little bit until it dries. So that's why I saved that for last. And I think this page is almost done. I'm just adding some details, and there we go. That is a finished commission page. Really fun. And thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this.